The flowers that bloom so brightly in Southern California are part of a complex puzzle that could help researchers piece together the local impact of climate change. San Diego State University biologist Daniel Marszalek spent the past couple of years collecting pollinators that populate a small slice of Mission Trails Regional Park. He says it's not just about bees.
There could easily be 20 different species of bees. I know there's several different species of beetles that feed on the flowers and could be potential pollinators as well. And yeah, I've seen 4 or 5 different butterfly species fly by us just in the last 10 minutes.
Marszalek says it's important to know how the local insect populations are doing, and the best way to do that is to set traps and count them. He's hopeful the findings help establish a baseline measurement for a population that plays such an important role in keeping wild areas thriving. Marszalek says there are more questions right now than answers.
We know that there's differences in the community composition. So what? Why does that matter? And so we want to see how that's impacting pollination rates, decomposition rates, so we have a better understanding of these issues. And it may lead to more active involvement with restoration.
Marszalek is collecting mostly flies, beetles, bees, and wasps, but he says there are other interlopers that end up in his traps. Back in his lab, he holds up a small vial.
These are Argentine ants, so we're estimating about 1,000 of them from just one single trapping. That was about 6 days long.
Collecting, measuring, and cataloging the insects tells researchers about the population's health. San Diego State University entomologist Douglas Deutschman says it also tells scientists about the health of the environment where the bugs are caught. He says studying pollinators is not new. The insects serve a key role in sustaining the nation's billion-dollar agricultural industry. But Deutschman says studying pollinators in native habitats has been largely ignored.
What we fail to remember, though, is that that same issue happens in the natural world, that our native plants and the ecosystems that they depend on also need to be pollinated, often by native insects that we know very little about.
Deutschman says the natural environment offers a chance to study an incredibly diverse insect population. He says some insects are specialists and only pollinate one kind of flower. Others are generalists. He says all of them need to be understood.
If we don't understand pollination both in agriculture and in more natural environments, we may be losing really valuable sort of services that the ecosystems provide, and that may have tremendous impacts down the road.
Deutschman says learning about those complex relationships and tracking populations over time will give researchers insight into a world they know very little about. And that could inform efforts to save plants that are teetering on the brink of extinction, especially if officials already know the native pollinators are gone.
No amount of preserving the land for that plant will protect the plant from extinction if its pollinator is driven out of the system. So we need to start thinking about the system, not just about the piece of land we're protecting.
Warming temperatures could impact insect populations and change their capacity to serve local habitats. That's one reason the San Diego Foundation is helping fund the research. The Foundation's Emily Young says there is value in knowing more about our natural world.
Whether you're talking about Mission Trails Regional Park, or you're talking about Otay Valley Regional Park, or you're talking about some of the natural areas in North County, we can get a better understanding of how those populations are changing and how they might in turn affect the health of our local vegetation as well as croplands.
The Foundation has already supported 2 rounds of the study, and that's helping local researchers build a baseline that they can use to measure future change. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.